Good evening and welcome to this forum for candidates for mayor and city council, City of Wixom, on the ballot for the November 5th, 2013 election. This forum was sponsored by the League of Women Voters, Oakland area, under their guidelines for forums. I am Jerry Burton, a member of the League of Women Voters, and not a resident of the City of Wixom. The League of Women Voters is a trusted, national, nonpartisan political organization. Our members do the hands-on work to enhance democracy. While we never endorse or support any political candidate or party, we are directly involved in shaping the important issues that keep our community strong. As a League of Women Voters member, I have the opportunity to contribute in a leadership role such as this that has a great impact on local, state, and national issues. The views expressed in this forum are those of the candidates, and the League takes no responsibility. This forum has been established by the League of Women Voters. We ask that the audience remain silent during the forum. Please turn off all cell phones and electronic devices. The only photography permitted is by the media. We ask that the candidates answer the questions with their views and not to interrupt the other candidates. Candidates will be answering questions submitted by the audience. Pages, Kathy Bartley, a League member, will circulate with paper and pencils for your questions. There are two candidates on the ballot for mayor. There are Kevin W. Hinckley and Michael McDonald, one to be elected to a 2-year term. For city council, there are 4 candidates: Patrick Beagle, Keenan Gottschall, Nick Kennedy, and Thomas Resnick, 3 to be elected to a 4-year term. We begin our forum with 1-minute opening statement by the candidates. Our timer, Tara Moon, will signal when the candidates have 30 seconds, 15 seconds, and when to stop. Candidates will speak in alphabetical order. We will begin with Mr. Hinckley.
Good evening, folks, and thanks for attending, and thanks to the League for hosting this forum. My name is Kevin W. Hinckley. I've been married to my wife Linda for 33 years and have 2 adult children that we raised here in Wixom. We've lived here for 23 years. We've owned and operated a business here in Wixom for 14 years. I have had the privilege of serving as your mayor for the last 6 years, and prior to that as a councilman for 6 years. Being a business owner here in Wixom, I bring significant ideas and practices that are foreign to government to assist in changing municipal operations to be more business friendly, while utilizing business principles to reduce operating costs. I believe my relationships locally, countywide, throughout the state and nationally will greatly assist us in our restructuring and creating a more sustainable Wixom.
Thank you, Mr. McDonald.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for showing up. Hope you keep you all awake. My name is Mike McDonald. Kevin and I bought a piece of property in 1970 up on Loon Lake, and I built a home, and I've been in the same house for 42 years. When I first came here, I found a sleepy little community, about 1,250 people. There were dairy farms along Pontiac Trail, where Century Industrial Park and all that was. It's really been a change, been a great place to live, raise our children. I was a chemist for Ryco Chemical for 8 years. I ran a distribution business for 27. And in the last couple of years, I've been a general manager of a recycling center. And I find that Wixom has a lot of potential still. We had some tough times, and I think we can come back fighting. If the economy will help us, I see no reason we can't go further. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Beagle.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Pat Beagle. I've been a Lakes area resident my entire life, a Wixom resident for 28 years. I'm married with 1 teenage daughter. I'm in my first term as city council member. Before that, I was a trustee for the Wixom Public Library, and before that, I was PTA president of Wixom Elementary for 2 years. I was awarded the Golden Apple Award through the Wall Lake Community School District in October of 2012. And Wixom I found, be a great place to live, and in my next term, I'm going to continue to create new opportunities for both businesses and residents, continue to provide essential services, which are public safety, police, DPW, and continue to maintain physical strength. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grisham.
Hello, my name is Keenan Gottschall. I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this and the audience for coming out to let us share our background and ideas and goals with you tonight and giving up some of your time. I have been a lifelong resident of the city of Wixom. I've grown up and know the goal or the ideals that embody Wixom, and my family has been involved in the city for decades. My grandfather was a building inspector for 40 years. My grandmother was on board of review, and my father was on the planning commission. And I even used to work in the assessor's office in high school before that was moved to the county level. Right now I work as a realtor focused on Wixom and the Lakes area, and I also volunteer my time as a youth sports coach for Commerce Little League and St. William Football in Walled Lake. And in my first term, I hope to help foster a spirit of community in the city and also help to provide a secure financial future for Wixom. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy.
Thank you, League of Women Voters, for hosting this event. First of all, a little about my history. I moved to Wixom in 1987 with my wife, Kathy. We have 3 children. They all attended the Walled Lake school system. I've been self-employed since 1979, and I retired in 2011, and I'm proud to say that my son took over the business. I have a long history of service in the city of Wixom. Some of these are, I'm on the Wixom Planning Commission. I am a founding member and the chairman of the Wixom Community Foundation, and now I'm looking to continue my service for the city of Wixom on the city council. I bring real business experiences to this position. If there's a proposal to raise your taxes, I know that I too will feel the pain of this, as I have been a long-standing homeowner in the city of Wixom for a long time. I know what services are important to me, and as a business person, I know what it takes to provide these services. And as a member of the city council, I'm here to help our city council, not be here for on-the-job training. I will be here to make the tough decisions and not kick the can down the road. And this is what I've done with my whole life. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Resnick.
Good evening, and thank you, League of Women Voters. I'm Tom Resnick, and I'm seeking my second term for Wixom City Council. I've lived in the city for 19 years with my wife of 32 years and our 3 children. Our children, Rachel, Aaron, and Elizabeth, lived here most of their lives, attended Walled Lake public schools, and attended Michigan public universities. Prior to my first term on council, I was also a founding member of the Wixom Community Foundation, and I served as the Parks and Recreation Commission chairman. I'm a current president and chief operating officer of Danlaw Incorporated of Novi, Michigan, an engineering services and products companies with 130 employees. I also sit on the board of directors of a global automotive supplier. I believe that my experience in running a profitable medium-sized Michigan company has helped me significantly in my duties on the council, especially during discussions and budget sessions, and this has been important during this prolonged recession with the city having to provide a high level of services to residents with much fewer resources. I thank you again.
Thank you. Now is the time for candidates to answer questions from the audience that have been screened for duplication and relevancy by Linda DePorter, a League member. Unless otherwise indicated, they will have 1 minute to answer the questions. We will begin with Mr. Hinckley, and we'll start out with a real good one. What is your vision of the Ford plant property?
Well, my vision of the Ford property is a repurposing of the property that makes it a viable piece of property and returns the tax revenue that we once enjoyed, $1.5 million from Ford Motor Company. We've been working on this for the past 3 or 4 years, more diligently recently than prior to, and we've secured General RV with the new construction of the building and Menards. And I think as we go forward with those 2 properties and those 2 developments, that the current property owner, Brian Wilson, that we'll see a brighter and a more sustainable community.
Thank you, Mr. McDonald.
As I understand, the Ford property is still owned by Ford Motor. They're selling off parcels along the expressway to interested people. I think we have to facilitate an environment where other businesses want to come in and invest in our community. And I think we have to work along with Ford Motor because they are the marketing people. Ford Land will market that piece of property. They've had offers, but excuse me, as I understand, Ford Motor still owns the property. They sold the building and the building was torn down. And it should be cleaned up and probably in the spring get a little more interest. Thank you.
Mr. Beal.
Thank you. My vision for the Ford plant is to bring some tax money back to the city of Wixom, and also at the same time make it an appealing property with the exposure on 96 and a main exposure on Wixom Road. We need to make it a viable property where it'll be pleasing for our city and help bring tax money back to the city.
Thank you, Mr. Gottschall.
My vision for the Ford plant is a well-planned, mixed-use development that is done throughout the entire process, not something that is done piecemeal or in parts. I think if done well, this is a key part of Wixom's potential to draw new business investment, to draw new homeowners and visitors who like what is happening in Wixom compared to wherever they may be living right now. And if we can have that draw from that property and that development, it will help homeowners see a rise in their home values, and it helps Wixom grow and brightens the future of the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy.
Being on the planning commission, I already had a lot of chance to see these things happening. The Menards property was 40 acres that was sold off. General RV was 32 acres. There's approximately 280 some acres left. And it's my understanding that Barlow Development owns that property. We've changed the zoning ordinance over there. It's now a GPUD, and we're trying to make it a gateway to the city. That was our entire intention. Some of the things I'd like to see in there are some educational purposes. We need to make some kind of destination facility to bring more people into the city. It'd be great if we can move ahead and get the tax values back up. But right now, we've got to start with the Menards, and that's generating a lot of interest in that property.
Thank you, Mr. Resnick.
I think as our economy moves from primarily manufacturing to a lot more information-based economy, it's going to be very important that the Ford plant property develops into something for multi-use. I think we took some great first steps in rezoning from M1 into the GPUD to allow that mixed use. I think it's very important that Wixom becomes a destination and not just a bedroom community, and this property plays a big part of it. A headquarters for General RV is a great first start. It'll be a showcase building with the freeway frontage. And I think we have to attract more businesses like that and attract higher education as well in some way. We need some sort of retraining for our youth, that there's a lot of jobs out there right now that can use skilled trades, and we don't provide an outlet for these kids to get educated in skilled trades, and they go off to four-year universities, and a lot of them are leaving our state. So becoming a destination is important.
Thank you. Next question will start with Mr. McDonald, and it'll be along the same vein. What is the progress on Menards and also the proposed Culver's restaurant?
Culver's Restaurant's going full speed ahead, as you've seen anybody go up Wixom Road. They've got the site leveled, and I see they were putting in the underground today. Living in the area and driving up and down Wixom Road, you can hardly miss all these things. The Holloway building is down, and it's going to be a mixed use. He was hoping for Menards, and as I understand it, there's a lot of rumors floating around Wixom. There always has been. Menards closed, and so that piece of property is going to go forward. If you go on the internet, I am somewhat internet intelligent. You find out that Menards went to a lot of places and never did anything there. General Trailer is a little bit different. They're already got pipe in the ground. They're breaking up concrete. They're getting ready to do what they got to do. There'll be two good anchors to start, and the rest of it, if the economy turns around, we can make it happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Beagle.
Thank you. As former Mayor McDonald said, the culverts is down, you can see the progress on it, and that's exciting at this time. And also, I think Menards is dedicated to start building in Wixom. They're going through their final steps right now, and once they receive their final approvals and everything, they will start, and within a year open up, and like we said, we have 2 bid anchors there, and we'll go from there.
Thank you, Mr. Gotcha.
As you've already heard, Menards is underway, and I do know that there was Tim Hortons that expressed an interest in moving into a storefront on the property as well. I'm not sure if that's still an interest of theirs, but there is some draw in other property that Menards bought and will hope to sell to other restaurants and businesses that want to move in with them. And then Culver's is broken ground, things are moving along there. And I know that should attract quite a bit of business because there aren't too many Culvers around here. I think Auburn Hills is the next local one. And if you're anything like my father, you love Culvers and make it a pit stop if you're headed somewhere else. So it'll help attract visitors to Wixom, so that's always a good thing.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy.
I don't know what else I can add to all of this. Menards came to the Planning Commission, I think it was September 25th, and got final site plan approval. The next day, on the Tuesday, I believe it was taken to the City Council, and the City Council approved it from there. We're just sitting there waiting for them to, I understand it's the spring before they start breaking ground and taking out the concrete. Culver's was really nice to get in there. If you're interested in what happened, they had a bit of a problem with how they were going to have their signs facing the road. They flipped that building back and forth about 3 times back on the lot. They finally came up with the one they liked, and everybody else liked it, so they moved forward on it.
Thank you, Mr. Resnick.
Well, there's really not much left to say. But yeah, Culver's, I think it's great. I talked to another local Wixom restaurant owner, and he said the resources, the human resources that were involved in the demolition have increased his daytime business by 30%. So I think that getting more people in, having more places to eat is good. The Menards, I think our planning commission has done a wonderful job in working with Menards in terms of the site plan to make sure that things like side yards, lumber stacks are well shielded from the road. They did a great job, and I think we're going to have some wide sidewalks still in front of it, which is great. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hinckley.
That's okay, that's okay. As far as Culver's and Menards, I'm not going to continue to add because all of my colleagues here have pretty much explained where we're at. But what I can tell you is that what we've been working on, this council, this planning commission, our city manager, is creating a destination. And I've spent several days, several hours, several meetings with a variety of different manufacturers, store owners, property development companies, and what I've been doing to represent the city, both at the county, nationally, and through the state, is to attract businesses to that site. And I think we can all speculate on what the opportunities are and the rumors are, but the bottom line is that what we need to do is focus on businesses that want to move and create a destination that does attract more people, more businesses, and generates revenue so that we can continue to balance our budget.
Thank you. Next question, we'll start with Mr. Beagle. What will you do to reduce legacy costs?
We're under that, we're doing that right now as council, as we're looking at several options that we can do. We have a new plan that for new employees that'll come in, and when the contracts are expiring, I'm sure we're going to take a look at them and see how we can do things different to reduce the legacy costs as we go on further.
Thank you, Mr. Goshel.
A big part of reducing the legacy costs is just being in the mindset of needing to do that and carrying that mindset with you when you're making any decisions about Wixom's future with contracts with its employees. And I think that you just have to be in the frame of mind that when you look at a contract, you have to know that you're trying to cut down, you're trying to trim down the legacy costs that Wixom will have to pay out in the future. And it just starts with making a concerted effort to do so, rather than standing by and just rubber stamping the contracts that come across your desk. You actually have to step forward and renegotiate those contracts.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy.
The city of Wixom, I think, is doing a great job, at least right now, to reduce their legacy costs. In negotiations and stuff like that, they are talking a two-tier system now for all new employees. I know that some of the employees and stuff like that have retired out through attrition. And at this time, I think, like I said, the administration is doing everything possible to help that out.
Thank you, Mr. Resnick.
Yeah, Wixom actually was a leader in this area and going to a two-tier system for its non-union employees, where they moved from defined benefit models to defined contribution models. And they actually did it quite quickly after private industry did this. So I think continuing to look at ways to reduce those legacy costs. Certain positions in the city, we had 65 employees in 2003. We're down to 51 right now. By doing that, we have outsourced certain things that make sense, such as our payroll processing. We're using a private firm to do that now rather than replace it with a full-time position. So these are ways of doing that.
Thank you. Mr. Hinckley.
Well, I echo Councilman Resnick's comments regarding our defined benefit to defined contribution. And again, as a business owner, we've faced these challenges for years and years and years. And prior to the economic downturn, many of us were already going through those phases and reducing our costs, reducing our retirement costs. And so I think, once again, what this council brings to this city is ideas and concepts in order to do that. And some of the things that we've done already in regards to our defined plan and our defined contribution that have allowed us to reduce those costs, reduce our employees, reduce our operating costs day to day by identifying areas such as we did with moving to a 4-day work week. And all those reductions have elevated us into a position where we've actually reduced our costs, and it affects everything as the bottom line from an operating cost.
Thank you. Next question will start with Mr. Colchaw. Sorry. Mr. McDonald.
Thank you. I was one of the voices in the wilderness in 2000 when I suggested that we had to change, or we were really going to face some really difficult times like GM and Chrysler and Ford, that the paradigm had shifted. We couldn't keep doing as we had done in the past. Just cutting personnel isn't the solution. Two-tier might work if you can get enough of your higher tier to leave, but that doesn't happen because our workforce is young enough. And it's going to take a long time to get there. So we're going to really have to be proactive, as Mr. Gottschall said, because we have to think about it. I was one of those people that in 2000 said, excuse me, we got to stop leasing cars for people. You give them a car allowance. You got to get away from the things we did in the past. And it wasn't done, and now we're facing the consequence of a 40% tax increase because we didn't save money when we could. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll start with Mr. Colchaw. And I'm going to combine two questions. What is your greatest achievement in the city of Wixom? And holding public office is a position of trust. How do you believe that you have earned that trust?
I think my greatest accomplishment in the city of Wixom is just on a day-to-day basis. I live as I was raised in the city of Wixom. I volunteer my time back to the community by coaching youth sports. I try and focus my work on Wixom and the Lakes area to help businesses and residents find new homes or sell their homes. I think it's just giving back. I think that's what I was taught as I was raised in Wixom and know, having lived here my entire time. And I'm sorry, could you repeat the second part?
City, public office in the city is a position of trust. How do you believe you have earned that trust?
I think I earned that trust by just being an honest person in everything I do. I don't try to sugarcoat or float around anything. I'm honest in all of my dealings, both personally and business-wise, with everyone I come in touch with. And I think that's how you earn trust, by knowing that somebody can trust you to give them an honest opinion or answer and come to you and know that they're going to be given their information correctly.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy.
Right now, one of my greatest achievements in the city of Wixom is I believe I was instrumental in bringing back $3.75 million for the Rails to Trails program, which is a bike path that connects all the way from Grand Rapids down to Rochester. That was a nice thing to be able to do. Wixom had applied for that 3 times and was actually on the last of the list the 3rd time, and we were able, I went up with Mr. Nowicki, and we were able to change their minds and bring home the bacon, so to speak. With regards to earning the trust, by doing things in an ethical manner, that's how you earn trust. You know, I can tell you that I was the Boy Scout leader, and I'm trustworthy, loyal, helpful, brave, and all that, but it's just a matter of the ethics and the way you do things, the way you conduct yourself in your business. Treat everybody fairly, and that will come.
Thank you, Mr. Resnick.
And on a personal level, I think raising 3 kids to the point where they get to college and get my family well-grounded here in Wixom was a personal achievement. Also, I was one of the founders and really pushed for the Wixom Community Foundation from my early days in the late 90s as the Parks and Rec Commission chairman. We were looking for a 501c3 organization to go be able to get some of those grants, and I was glad to have helped push that through, and we saw it to its realization. My family also have created a scholarship fund within that foundation that serves the Wixom youth who are graduating. Also, I think my contributions on the budget is very good because I'm used to private industry, and we lived through the recession and cost cutting, and I think that my contributions on the budget planning and the budget sessions are very good. Trust, I think following up when residents want something attended to is very important, and I have that thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Hinckley.
Thank you. I truly believe that my greatest achievement has been working for the people of this city. And I've done this for the past 12 years as a council member and the mayor. And I think that in itself, in working with our planning and zoning and representing the people of the city, it's been a privilege. And it's been an honor to serve the people of this city. And that, to me, in working with our council, has been an achievement for me and a goal for me, because unfortunately, or fortunately, I was not able to serve in the military. And I find that serving for your community and serving for your country is a great opportunity, and it's a privilege. As far as trust, I firmly believe that I am here today because people trust me. And I've done a job with this council and with this administration to deliver a fair and honest budget. And, excuse me, when I've been asked a question, I give an honest answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McDonald.
Thank you. Well, I was mayor for 12 years in what was a pretty good time in Wixom. A lot of us politicians take credit for things that don't really belong to us. They belong to our city, to the people that set the plans in front of us. I was very fortunate that the people that put the plan together for Wixom had a very good plan. And I think that if we go back to what the direction they set us in, we'll be fine. As for trust, I think I've ruffled as many feathers as I've soothed. I think some people would call me abrupt, but I try to be honest, and I always tell people, listen, I give you an honest answer if you give me an honest question. But I find too many times people hedge their bets. But I'm pretty truthful and right to the point most of the time.
Thank you, Mr. Beagle.
Thank you. My greatest achievement is, and I'm going to combine both of these, my greatest achievement is being elected to the city council. When I was elected to the city council, the citizens of Wixom put their trust in themselves and me to guide this community And I feel that I have. I'm a hard worker. When I was PTA president for 2 years, I raised over $45,000 for the schools to put all new systems, whiteboards, and overhead projectors in every classroom. Everybody that knows me knows that I'm a hard worker and genuine, and will do what it takes to get the job done. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question. We'll start with Mr. Kennedy. With property values decreasing, revenue sharing disappearing, and the governor's dashboard, how do you maintain services on the current budget?
The city of Wixom has been working diligently in the past year to cut their costs and maintain proper services. We were real lucky that the citizens of our community voted in the 3.5 mil increase, and that's helping us until we can bridge the gap. We hopefully will get some increases in property revenues, and at the same time we'll get the city, I hate to use the term right size, but we're going in the right direction with the right priorities.
Thank you, Mr. Risley.
Yes, with the property value and the tax base decreasing, we've had to be very, very creative and do a lot of very innovative things. One is collaborating with other communities, and getting things for less by buying it in bulk through the Michigan trade networks. Another thing we've done very smartly is we've gone out and done some bond restructuring, lowering the interest rate on existing bonds. That's helped as well. And outsourcing. We've saved $44,000 by outsourcing our payroll processing to ADP. So there's a lot of ways we can do more collaboration and more creative ways of doing things. Our road program with its brining has reduced salt consumption greatly as well.
Thank you, Mr. Engel.
I think our main objective here is to create additional economic development. And if we continue to create and attract jobs and attract businesses, I think it was last year in my State of the City, we were able to boast that we attracted 300 new businesses to the city over a period of time. So as long as we continue to attract businesses, that means we attract residents, and what that helps us do is generate revenue. And being a business owner, there's two things you need to do. You need to cut your costs and maintain your costs and generate revenue. And that's what we've been working on with this administration and this council. We'll continue to do that.
Thank you, Mr. McDonald.
I think we really have to facilitate a community where people want to come to. That's going to be, you can, as Mr. Higley pointed out, we can grow our way out of it. We're certainly not going to see any huge tax increases for property values. I don't know how good that is anyway, because it just hurts the citizens of Wixom. But we really have to look at how we can facilitate bringing other people here. And part of that is having a lean, mean government. I mean, I'm familiar with the budget process. I go through it every year, and I find things in it that upset me, concern me, that they haven't been addressed yet. And there are areas to cost cut here. And we really have to get down to the brass tacks so we can start moving in the right direction.
Thank you, Mr. Bagel.
Thank you. We're doing a good job right now with working with other communities, sharing road tar sealing, wherever we can help and cut costs. We like with the brine, but like the mayor says, we will with this gateway, and if we can draw people, we can grow out of this. And until we do, we have to look at the budget with a fine-tooth comb. And as this council did this year during budget, we looked through it and we did a very good job. And I think it's a very lean budget, and it's going to be continued that way. We're working on a new 3-year budget right now, so we're projecting out and to see how we're going to be doing in 3 years to give us a better idea.
Thank you. Next question, Mr. Goschel.
I think it all begins with looking at a small budget or any budget as an opportunity rather than adversity that you're going to have to overcome. It's an opportunity to look at everyday day-to-day things that the city does and see how we can be more efficient with taxpayers' money and still provide the same level of services that you all have come to know and love in the city. Rather than putting police or fire as the first things on a chopping block during a tight budget, that's what the city's here to provide, is things like fire and police. And those shouldn't be on the chopping block. We have to look at things in an infrastructure way and see where we can be more efficient. Just like Councilman Beagle said, fine-tooth comb is what comes to mind. You have to be innovative. You can't just rely on the same old ideas and principles to get you through a New Year's budget just because it worked in years past, especially nowadays.
Thank you. We'll start the next question, Mr. Resnick. As a council member, what can you do for seniors and teens?
I think it's very important in our community, with an aging population, that we provide very sound programs. I don't know if folks have participated in some of these programs that the Senior Center provides, but they are outstanding. We have everything from physical activities. We have a lot of different bus trips and places for them to go, as well as extended learning opportunities. So it's very important that many communities actually participate in our senior program. Our teens, on the other hand, it's a different lot, right? We have to find ways, again, by creating a destination rather than just bedroom communities. And we've got some very interesting things. Flatline Games is a new business that just opened up on Wixom Road. It's actually a board game facility. Maybe that's something that the new youth is going to go to. I see a lot of cars out there, so people are starting to go to it. There's things that have to be created in the city. Total soccer helps as well.
Thank you, Mr. Hinckley.
I truly believe that both ends of the spectrum with our adult community and our teen community are very viable to our community. And I have no problem in telling people that I supported the millage for one simple reason, actually a couple of different reasons, but one of our main focuses was to keep this community center open. And this community building serves as a place for our local seniors and seniors from other communities to come on a daily basis and enjoy each other's company, have trips that are organized for them to go out and about around the state and other areas. So it's very important. And as far as teens, if you were at the council meeting last night, you'll know how proud I am of teens in our area and how I work through our community foundation to attract teens to businesses within the community and show them that there are other opportunities other than just college for jobs in the future.
Thank you, Mr. McDonald.
Thank you. Seniors, Wixom's always had an eye for the seniors. Back in the 80s, they provided a hall down the street next to where the Wixom bar is now. And the seniors ran their own programs. And they did a really pretty bang-up job with it on not a lot of money, but we provided all the support we could. And they did a great job on their own with a lot less input from the city and our tax dollars. I don't mind spending money. I've always supported the seniors in the past. As for the young people, that's a different ballgame. That's a tough one. We started a night at the middle school down the street, trying to get kids involved on a Friday night, and we found that it worked out pretty good. The school wasn't all that receptive, and I started along with the city manager at the time, the senior graduation party.
Mr. Bingo.
Thank you. The seniors are a very valuable part of our city, and I think if you look up here, with the exception of Mr. Gaccio here, I think we all are could be members of the senior committee, so we do need to take care of them. And I think we have a good program with them right now. We just restructured their transportation service for them. They have their opportunities to go on trips. They have potluck lunches and everything like that, and we need to continue those services for them. Teens, on the other hand, like everyone says, that's a tough choice, because I don't know if we can have the programs, but some of these kids like to just sit at home and play video games at their house or whatnot. So we have to be creative and come up with some ways to get them involved in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gonchal.
I'm speaking from a sort of different end of the age spectrum, I guess. I know, having spoke with a lot of seniors and being on council meetings, knowing things like the new bus system for rides goes a long way in resident or seniors like that, and the programming that's done right now. And I think it's just a matter of continuing to ask what the senior groups would like to do and helping them to carry out what they would like to do. That's how you have to handle programming, is ask what somebody would like and then plan to it, not just plan an event and cross your fingers and hope somebody will come to it. And I feel like that's sort of the approach to teens right now. I think to help get teens active in the community, you have to do it in splashes. You have to integrate programming into things that they already do on a daily basis. Maybe the city can open up a room in the library and have homework hours after school, where they can come together, or they can rent it out if they all have to study for the same test. You have to do it in splashes for teens, I think.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy.
Well, the largest growth section in our community will be our seniors. It's nice to see that this administration has gone to SEMTA and increased the credits from SEMTA to lower the cost of transportation for the seniors. I am getting ready to work with Kathy Crawford, and we're going to Providence Hospital. We're going to try and get them to donate some money and some vehicles also to make it so it would be completely no charge for the seniors to make it back and forth to the doctor's offices. As for the teens situation, the younger kids, we used to have the DARE program and stuff like that. The Community Foundation, along with Mr. Beagle, has helped put a program called TEAM, Teaching, Education, Awareness, and Mentoring. He's moved that up to where they're showing it, or working with the 7th grade teens, the young teens. They need some help with what they got going on there. The Community Foundation also offers a scholarship where we're giving kids $5,000 for career enhancement and training. These are the young teens just out of school. It again goes towards the education that we need here for stuff in our schools.
Thank you. Next question, we will start with Mr. Hinckley. Describe the difference between the council's role and the city manager's role in a weak council, mayor, city manager form of government as we have.
What?
I'm sorry.
Mr. Resident?
He finished.
He was right. He was asking on the question. Not.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Repeat the question.
Describe the difference between the council's role and the city manager's role in a council, weak mayor, city manager form of government as we have in Wixom.
Interesting question, although I get asked this quite often as being mayor. Our form of government here is 7 council members, and all 7 council members have a decision in the process during the meetings. So it isn't the mayor makes a decision, the position of mayor makes a decision, and that's what we do going forward. It's majority rules, which is great, unlike what we see in Washington. And actually how the role of the council is to make policy and approve the budget. The city manager runs the city on a day-to-day basis, and he has his managers and staff that report to him, and that process works, and I'm proud to say that I've been part of it for 12 years, and I think it's a good process.
Thank you, Mr. McDonald.
Wixom's city manager form of government isn't a true city manager form of government. In a true city manager form of government, the council elects the mayor. So they have a vested interest in the mayor's forecast, his platform. And the city council is like a board of directors. You hire somebody to run your city. That's what the city manager's role is. That's the only person the council hires or fires. And so like a board of directors, you would hire a CEO, you'd hire a chief executive officer to run it. He hires everybody, he fires everybody, he puts together the budget, and then the council and the mayor either approve it or change it, whatever they choose to do, But in our form of government, because the mayor is elected at large from everybody, it isn't a true city manager form of government. It's sort of a half-baked shot at it. That's what they did.
Thank you, Mr. Beagle.
I'm going to agree along with Mr. McDonald here that we are like the city manager runs the city. We elect him, we don't elect him, we hire him. He runs the city. He brings the budget to us. He brings, if you come to our city council meetings, everything, he flows that through us. We approve, we disapprove, and we move on, and that's the way the city has run for, I don't know how many years now, and it has been a successful way to run the city.
Thank you, Mr. Gottschall.
I think you've heard just in terms of who handles the day-to-day operations as city manager, and then I think the best way to put the city council and mayor are the bigger picture type of board. They have to look into the future and think big and set benchmarks for the city that we would like to achieve, whether if it's a 3-year, 5-year plan, or I know we had the 2025 plan. That's the kind of big thinking and big picture that the council and mayor are supposed to have. Generally, they're supposed to stay out of the day-to-day operations. They can help out when the city manager asks for it, or maybe it relates to something they do as part of their work privately, and they might be able to help out, but they aren't supposed to nitpick. They just give directives to the city manager to help meet those benchmarks that are set on a larger scale.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy.
I believe it's already been said. The city council is sort of the board of directors. The mayor is the chairman of the board. The city manager is the professional that the city council hires to run the city. He brings ideas, and it's also his job to also forecast and see into the future 10, 20, 30 years. If your city manager doesn't see that far into the future, we're going to run into some roadblocks real quick. But I think it's also the city council's job also to bring forth any new ideas they can to the city manager and ask him to explore that and see what he can find out. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Resnick.
Yeah, I think enough has been explained about the council manager form of government. Again, the city manager is the CEO and chief operating officer. He is the head of the administration. I think one thing that's very effective in our community is how our city manager works with his heads of departments in preparing the budget and bringing it to council. The other thing that I think hasn't been said enough about is the effectiveness of our planning commission and ZBA. Those commissions have a very strong role in this community in bringing things to council, such as a new planned development on the Ford property. It's very effective, I think. And the current council has worked very well with our city administration in the budgeting process. It's very tedious, very tough, but I think we, in the end, majority rules and we get through it.
Thank you. Next question will be the last question prior to the closing remarks. We will start with Mr. McDonald. What is the single biggest challenge facing our city in the next term?
I wish it was just local. I wish that something would happen federally to try to free up the entrepreneurial spirit of our country again. We can do everything we want and think it's going to work, but if something doesn't happen, as somebody mentioned in Washington or in Lansing, we're really stuck behind the 8 ball. We can do what we can do to cut our budget and try to get as much money as we can and make this a nice place for everybody to live. But in reality, we're stuck in an economy that is at least puny. And I wish it were different. We can do things, and we certainly will. Wixom's always been a community that had that spirit from the people that invented the place, that we do what we have to do. And we will. The city council and the mayor will do what they have to do. And I think we really got to get Washington off the mark.
Thank you, Mr. Beagle.
Thank you. The biggest challenge facing Wixom in the next term is even though we have a lot of great things going with the Ford properties and whatnot, it's still a couple years down the road before we'll see any monetary benefits from that. So we're going to continue to have to go through the budget, fight through it tooth and nail, check it out, and continue to provide services, essential services to the community, what they deserve with the budget that we have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Concho.
I think the single most important thing facing the city of Wixom over the next 4 years is the city's ability to provide a secure financial future for the city and its residents as much as possible. Like Councilman Beagle said, we're not going to see new revenue from the Ford plant or a finished village center area for a few years. It doesn't just happen overnight. And I think, well, we can now, we have to do things that help to increase property values because that helps broaden the tax base. That way we don't have to keep coming back to taxpayers every 4 years or 5 years asking for a new millage increase. We're making the one that we just passed a permanent thing. I think that will be detrimental to the attractiveness of the city for new business investment and home buyers. And I think that's the biggest challenge is just finding the way over the next 4 years to provide that secure financial future for the city.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy.
Well, City of Wixom has to diversify, increase its tax bases from different places. Right now, we're going to have to go through the pain of reconstruction. That's what's happening. We were lucky enough that the citizens of our community voted to put a 3.5 mil increase to help out with that, and that has a sunset in 4 years. The securing of the financial future, I think they are doing that now, and again, it's the pain of reconstructing, but it's the bringing of Wixom together as a community. Right now, our community is a bit torn apart on different issues and on different factions, I guess you would say. The citizens are being reached out to, and I think the administration and the city council are bringing more people into the city for input. And I said, and as soon as we can come together more as a city, that will be the biggest challenge, and we can move forward greatly from there.
Thank you, Mr. Resnick.
I think the biggest challenge we're faced with in this next term is economic development. We need to create a place where people want to do business. And I think we've got a great start. We're a member of the One Stop Ready program from Oakland County to make it very easy for businesses to come into our community and start opening up shop. One of the challenges that new businesses that come into the community are faced with is a trained, viable workforce. We have 60% of our graduates from Michigan Public Universities leave the state. We need to change that. We need people to stay in our communities. Lots of jobs, right? We have some Wixom businesses that have over 100 openings right now for skilled trades. We just don't have the proper facilities to be training our youth in these types of jobs. So we need to really concentrate on that as well. So economic development is the #1 challenge.
Thank you, Mr. Hinckley.
I agree with my fellow Councilman Resnick because, like myself, he runs a business, and when you run a business and your revenue is down, you have to do things to change that, which we've done in reducing our expenses and trying to generate more revenue. And the only way we're going to generate more revenue is to generate more economic growth. So, as I've done and this council has done, we continue to see new companies to move to this community. I regularly take time from my current job to go meet with business owners and encourage them to move and bring their employees and buy homes in this city. And what that does is it generates the revenue. So as long as we can continue to generate revenue, we'll create economic sustainability, and we'll be able to continue to provide world-class service to our taxpayers.
Thank you. That concludes the questions. The candidates will now give a 1-minute closing statement. In reverse order, we will begin with Mr. Resnick.
Thank you. In closing, I believe it's extremely important for Wixom to continue to build its economic base during this very fragile recovery period we are experiencing. This includes the continued development of the former Ford property, finding appropriate space for new and expanding corporations as well as developing our retail space in our downtown DCA areas. This will further secure our position as a vibrant, sustainable community where Wixom is seen as a destination and not just another bedding community. These 4 years have been very trying, but this council and administration have done a stellar job of working through the shrinking tax revenues, the most prolonged recession in history, and still providing high levels of service with a much smaller staff. We have collaborated with surrounding communities to leverage the buying power of many and have been a role model for community snow removal and road maintenance. We refinanced debt where we could, and we outsourced tasks to the private sector where it made sense. I believe that I can continue to contribute to our city's recovery with your support. It would be my privilege to serve you for another 4 years on Wixom City Council.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy.
I'd like to see in the next 4 years the city of Wixom reach out to its citizens, bring them more involved with the city, and make us one community as a whole. We need to diversify. We need to bring in education as a business. We've already reached out to Ferris State University and some others in which to do this. The Wixom Community Foundation is trying to work with a lot of the businesses in training and doing career development. We'd love to see something happen with the schools. We've gone out and reached out to them. We've taken busloads of kids to businesses and actually tried to show them that the manufacturing industry is not a dirty word anymore. I think that with your help, we can make Wixom a great place. It already is a good place to live. We just need to help bring everybody together to bring in the money and the economic development.
Thank you, Mr. Gottschall.
I'd like to thank again the League of Women Voters and the audience for this opportunity to share with you a little bit about me, and thank you for spending your evening with us. I just want to restate my goals and what I think the two biggest issues facing the city of Wixom are: helping to foster a spirit of community amongst residents by creating more volunteer opportunities within the city at city events to help promote resident engagement, and also to introduce more outreach to citizens on a regular basis, just to check in and see that you're receiving the services at a quality level that you expect and deserve. I think another important thing, as I've touched on, is providing a secure financial future. Help make Wixom an attractive city for home buyers and business investments, to help draw new visitors and tax revenue, to plan for responsible growth for the city over the next 4 years, and also to help create a vibrant village center area and gateway community. I'd like to finish by asking for your vote on November 5th. Thank you.
Mr. Beagle.
Thank you. I'd also like to thank the League of Women Voters for offering this forum tonight and for everyone in attendance tonight. I'm committed to the citizens of Wixom, and when re-elected, I will continue to work to protect property values, promote sensible redevelopment, make Wixom a destination, strengthen public safety, and enhance the quality of life for the citizens of our city. Thank you.
Mr. McDonald.
Thank you. I want to thank the League of Women Voters. They asked me what my issues were, and this is the 800-pound gorilla in the room. We've got to do something about the apartments and how we help those people help us. Because as long as we have the levels of crime, and I don't want to use that word as bad as it sounds, we've got to get with Novi, the Oakland County Sheriff, and those kind of people to bring all the resources we can along with apartment owners and show them that if you want these apartments to be more valuable, then you're going to have to participate and help us. Because the amount of, I was at one town hall meeting and they said that 85% of the reported crime was coming out of our apartments. We have to do something about it. Now, I don't think they're all criminals in the apartments. I want that understood. They're victims as much as anything. They're living there, they have a car parked there, things happen. But we've got to, as a community and Novi and Commerce, address it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hinckley.
Thank you for attending this evening, and thanks to the League for sponsoring the Meet the Candidates. I hope the forum has provided each and every one of you with a better perspective of who the candidates are and what their ideas are for a sustainable Wixom. Economic development, retaining residents and businesses while attracting new ones, is paramount to the needs of our community. The current council and commissions have gone through great strides in redeveloping our city and repurposing the former Ford property. We have led this city through very challenging times. It would be detrimental to our city's progress to change this engine. Again, I've been privileged to serve as your mayor and would ask for your vote. I'm ready to take on the role with great vigor and promise to treat everyone with respect and honesty.
Thank you. The League is funded by donations from businesses and individuals. Membership is open to both men and women over the age of 18. If you are interested in learning about how you can contribute or make an impact, pick up information at the table in the rear or visit our website, lwvoa.org. The League of Women Voters, Oakland area, an organization that does not support or oppose any political party or candidate, would like to thank the audience, the candidates, City Clerk Kathy Buck and her staff, Weld Lake Cable and their staffs. This program will be rebroadcast several times before the election on Comcast 10. For further information on the candidates, go to the League of Women Voters website for our voter guide, www.lwvoa.org. Don't forget to vote on November 5th, 2013. Democracy is not a spectator sport. Thank you and good night.